So as you can see from the title, this video is about when myself and my best friend, business partner, still to this day, Patrick, were in $40,000 in credit card debt. And, Patrick and I both are on this channel, and I think it only does justice if we both kind of talk about this in a little ways. I'm going to be kind of taking the main part of this video, I guess, but later in the video, he's going to share his thoughts and what it was like for him to be in, so much credit card debt and such an overwhelming amount of credit card debt. What's really crazy about this is that we were in this much credit card debt and we were 21 to 22 years old. So we ran it up pretty fast. There's all sorts of excuses, and we're going to talk about some of the backstory here. But in truth, that's what happened. Since then, we've gotten out of it. I'm going to tell you how we did that, which was a bit of an unconventional method, something a lot of people don't like to do, but it's very much so an option. Let's go ahead, let's jump on into it. So first and foremost, I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we got into this situation. Patrick and myself has always ran every single business we've ever had together. Back to high school, we were starting business ideas when we were sophomores in high school, coming up with different ideas, starting online in businesses, and pretty much all of them failed. We did have some success on YouTube. We started a YouTube network that did pretty well. We also had a YouTube channel that we still have to this day. We got off path. We've always wanted to be online internet entrepreneurs, but for whatever reason, we decided we wanted to stop that. We had our network shut down. YouTube shut down all YouTube sub-networks. We were a sub-network technically, even though we had a lot of partners and a lot of success. We were still a sub-network, and we got shut down. And so that was boom, that hurt us. And from that point on, we were kind of in scramble mode. From 2016 is when this happened to 2018. To be truthful. So at first, we're trying to revive this brand and flip our old YouTube network brand into something. Didn't work. Then we were trying to, go ahead and let's go ahead and start an agency, like a website, web design style agency sort of a thing where we make websites for people. Yeah, we were all focused on that, but didn't work though, right? Like people don't want websites, they want to manage social media, and we didn't get that. I think we could have been better with that, but that's not what this video is about. But we did that. And then through all this, we're not earning much of anything. The YouTube channel is still generating some income, but not much, and soon enough we are continuing to outspend that. And one thing we do have is credit cards, because when you're young, you will learn, you get a ton of credit card offers in the mail, and it's pretty easy to get credit when you don't have any credit. At least it used to be. I don't know now with the whole coronavirus and how that's affected the credit market, but it used to be very, very easy to get credit right out of high school, and we did. And we went the American Express route, and at one point I had an American Express Gold card, a Platinum card, and I think a Blue Cash every day. Like I had 3 credit cards there, plus I had a Chase card, and I had a Barclay. So 5 credit cards there. And I wasn't even 21. And so anyway, start spending on that and building up that debt. And you don't have the income, so you start putting food on it, you start putting everything on it. And we decided to get into real estate because we were just, like I said, we were off path. We, for some reason, didn't realize that YouTube is what we wanted to do. That's what we needed to do, and we were off path. So we listened to what everybody was telling us, and that was like, you guys will be good at selling real estate. So we started selling real estate. And we did very well, for what it was, but we didn't make any money either, because when you get selling real estate, your first few years, you're not going to make any money. You're advertising, you're building your business, you're building your brand, you're doing all that stuff. All that advertising expense went on credit cards, or went, any commissions we made went right back into the advertising expense, and truthfully, so did some more on top of that with credit cards. Not to mention, you have to keep up your cars when you're running around selling houses. You have to, go through and eat and do all this stuff. And you can't eat cheaply because you're running everywhere. So you have to eat out at fast food and spend that money there. So you can kind of start to see how this situation happens, how the advertising expenses of real estate, plus the, having to live, plus the having to, put thousands of miles a month on your car. I'm talking like 6,000 miles a month on your car, selling houses in East Tennessee. And suddenly, this starts compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding, and you're in $40,000 in credit card debt. And you're kind of at a loss. So how does that feel? That's what this video is like. What's it like? It's crushing. It really is. And that's why we're so anti-debt at Achievable Finance. Now, we're not against debt, right? I have a car loan. I have credit cards. Very responsible about them. If tomorrow I needed to, that car loan could be paid off. Any credit card that I have, the limit is less than the cash on hand. Having little things like that set up allows you to never be in a situation where you can't pay off your debt. The first thing I would do if I was ever in a situation where there was no cash would be cut up any credit cards I had. I'm not doing that again. I'm not putting things on a credit card that don't need to go on a credit card. Having lived that life once, I don't want to do that again. How does it feel to be $40,000 in credit card debt? It feels pretty crushing. It feels pretty overwhelming. It feels like something that a lot of times it's all you can think about. You owe $40,000. And in my case, I was 21 years old, 22 years old. How am I going to pay that back? Luckily, we were smart enough to cut the losses on real estate and get back an online business. But that didn't start taking off for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and let Patrick step in here at this point and tell you what he thinks and what it was like for him to be $40,000 in credit card debt. Take it away, Patrick.
So a couple of years ago, I found myself in a situation where I had just amassed a large, obscene amount of credit card debt. So I was in roughly $15,000 of personal credit card debt, plus I was technically liable for 50% of the company, so that puts it about $25,000, plus I had another $20,000 in car loans, so I was roughly $44,000 in debt at the time, and I was 21 years old. I had no income, really. We had been selling real estate for the past year, and I really had no income from that. I kind of fell into the perception that if I could make some money in real estate, I could pay off my debts, and then I could keep selling real estate and live a much better life, and really that didn't happen at all. I started selling real estate, and that just put me in more debt, and really just delayed the process even more. What ended up happening was we left real estate because we just honestly could not afford to keep selling real estate anymore. That's how bad it was. So we left our real estate office, and I remember waking up every single night just soaked in sweat. Pretty gross amount of sweat, honestly. Wondering like how at 21 years old I had let myself and my life get to that point. It was the worst financial situation I've ever been in. It was the worst personal health I've ever been in. It was awful. The entire situation was awful. I've always been the kind of person that really just, this is going to sound a little weird, but I love money. And I think I link a lot of my own self-worth to money. So the worse I feel about my financial state, the worse just everything else in life feels. So I think around that time of summer 2017, right around then, I ended up getting sued shortly after Nick from originally, I think, Barclay. And then 2 weeks later or a week later, American Express sued me. It was well over a year, I think a year and a half, since I had made a credit card payment, which was shocking to me. I mean, I've seen people get sued after 3 months of not making a credit card payment, especially for such a large amount of debt. So it really surprised me when it took a year before I was served. It definitely gave me enough time to start trying to figure things out, although it wasn't really working because I had no idea what was going on. I was waking up in sweats every night. It was the worst anxiety, the worst feeling. It was awful. It was an awful year of just every night feeling like the world was ending. Come around the time I got sued, Nick had just gotten sued and was going through the beginning of his bankruptcy process. So, I just said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I have no assets they can take, and that was the thing. And 7 years is not that bad, which is how long the bankruptcy would stay on my credit. So I went and I talked with a bankruptcy attorney and really started to try to understand how the process of bankruptcy would work for me. It really was a little shocking, but the entire thing really just felt surreal. But I realized that I had this problem that I had created and I had to solve it. And I had no income at the time. Really nothing substantial. I had enough to keep making my car payment and actually kept my car through bankruptcy. But I had really nothing substantial that they could take. So worst thing they could do in my mind was take my car, which wasn't an asset. It was still a liability because there was still a loan on it. So what ended up happening was I chose to continue making payments on my car voluntarily, and I just went through the bankruptcy process. I mean, I will never forget just how miserable those nights were up until the moment, oddly, that I got sued. Once I got sued, I realized that, I have a plan in place. I can take care of this. I can file bankruptcy, and I can take care of this problem. But really, it wasn't up until I got sued that I realized that I can actually make this work. I think I was so worried about what may happen that I didn't realize that if I just went ahead and filed bankruptcy, it could have been over. Now, in no way am I saying you should go out and file bankruptcy if you feel the same way. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I think you should look into all of your options and talk to someone who knows more than you. But yeah, it was definitely one of the most stressful times in my life. It was definitely one of the worst points in my life. I felt like I was losing everything I had ever dreamed of, everything I had ever worked for. I felt like I was giving it up. I feel like I had lost it all. So it was difficult, but overall what ended up happening, its solution was truly the greatest thing that I ever could have done. I was young. I was really stupid, and by no means is that an excuse. It's what happened. I was young and stupid, and I made stupid choices. I realized, I have made these decisions consciously. So it was more of in the time, there's no reason to pay for something so stupid for so many more years of my life. Truthfully, the best thing I ever did was file bankruptcy and go through bankruptcy court, because that allowed me to just kind of free my mind and focus on what was actually important to me at that point in my life, which was generating wealth. That's when business really started to pick up. Right after I filed bankruptcy, everything just picked up. And it was almost like the world, this is how it felt at the time, had been playing this like cruel joke on me for the past 2 years of my life. And that was more of the victim mindset. But it wasn't until later that I realized that all it was that I had finally freed myself up to be able to go do the things I wanted to do. It was a wonderful solution to the problem. And I'm extremely grateful for everything. I'm extremely grateful for the stupid mistakes I made, because overall, that is what led me here today. And I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be doing all of this with Achievable. And I'm glad that things worked out the way they did. I'm glad all of the mistakes that were made, because truthfully, I don't know where I would be had I not made those mistakes. Extremely grateful for it. But in the moments that it was happening, it was life-shattering. It was soul-crushing how difficult it was for dealing with that. I'm glad things worked out the way they did. It was a difficult time, but it had a great solution. So the higher the pain, the better the reward. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much my story with dealing with $40,000, $45,000 in debt. It sucked in the moment, but once I got through it, everything turned around.
So that's how it felt for Patrick, and I don't know what he's going to say, to be honest, so I'm just kind of recording this after the fact. This is a very raw video for Achievable. It's somewhat planned. Like, there's an article about this. You can check it out in the description down below, but it's a little looser. So anyway, after that's what it feels like. We're at our low there. I mean, truthfully, that was our low. At least we thought. And then I got sued by American Express and Barclay or Chase, I believe. And then Patrick got sued as well. Twice. So we both got sued twice. And when that happens, you have a few options. You can, let them garnish your wages. You can let them do all that. Or you can file bankruptcy. And having literally, no assets. I think we claimed, I think you can claim up to $10,000 of assets on when you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And they'll let you keep it. We had 6. It was nothing per person, but nothing. Right? We go ahead and we file bankruptcy. We wipe their credit card debt. Now, that's not popular. A lot of people say, how can you tell people this is how to get out of debt when you file bankruptcy? Because I see how we could have gotten out of debt. But for us, the choice made sense to file bankruptcy. We didn't have any assets. If you have assets, you have a house, you have cars that are paid off, you have this stuff, it makes sense. But in that, I lost my car. My dream car, I've been fortunate enough now to be able to get it again. But at the time, my dream car, I lost it in the bankruptcy. I owed $28,000 on that car. It was worth about 16. So I lost my car. That's hard. It hurts. That's one of those things about being in debt and being in credit card debt. And that's why you have to think so much before you get into debt and make sure you're going to be okay and be able to pay this off. And that's why I say, have the cash to cover it. It's such a big thing. It's such a, a huge sort of ordeal to be that much in debt. Bankruptcy is definitely an option that you should look at, but most people shouldn't do it. I want to mention this here. We have videos coming up on this. But the thing about Patrick and myself, the only thing that was holding us back from being and breaking out financially was the debt payments, all that stuff. We stopped paying on our debt and we were actually starting to do a little bit better. But you should honestly be profitable, if you will. Your life should be profitable. You should not be spending more than you make other than your credit card payments, right? If you remove your payments, right, your debt payments that you're going to give up in bankruptcy, and you're profitable in life, right? You're spending more than you're making. You can start saving the 10% that we talk about here. Then you're okay to file bankruptcy. We were in that position, right? Don't file bankruptcy unless that's the case. And don't file bankruptcy because it's an easy way out. In our case, it was the easier way out. It made the most sense, but only because we had these other foundation things that we had already understood, right? We knew we needed to start saving 10%. We knew we needed to build nest eggs. We knew we needed to start doing this sort of stuff. If you don't have that understanding, don't file bankruptcy. But nevertheless, we went through the bankruptcy process. We've got videos coming out on that later. Luckily, around that same time, our business started to take off. Nothing crazy, right? We weren't breaking 6 figures by any means at that point, but it started to take off and it started to do better. And that allowed us to start to build our income and start to actually, save more and more. We started taking way more than 10%, still do. Start building up that savings and those nest eggs to where now we can confidently say we'll never be in that place again. I don't know. This is a weird video. It's a very weird video, but that's kind of our story. And that's what it feels like to be in $40,000 of credit card debt. If you're finding this before getting your first credit card, I'm not saying don't get a credit card. I'm saying know the risk. I'm saying make sure that you just don't think you can pay it off every month, because Honestly, I thought that too, and I did for a very long time until I lost the income. So that's kind of that. That's everything. That's everything you need to know about, what it's like to be $40,000 in credit card debt. A little bit of bankruptcy talk in there. Thank you so much, Patrick, for coming into this video. Obviously, he has tons of amazing videos on the channel, but thank you so much for coming into this video and kind of sharing your side of the story, because this is very much so not my story. This is my story and Patrick's story. We both have our own individual experiences here, but I feel weird taking this video, but so it was on the schedule. This is how we decided to do it. Obviously, it's very much so a combined thing. So thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. My name is Nick. This has been Achievable Finance, and I'll see you in the next one.